Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the TraderMerlin Show. It is your Wednesday Hump Day edition. Happy Hump Day. Hope you had a great trading session out there. We're going to talk a lot about the market today. I will be doing all the driving. Normally, Sam will do the driving, but we're having a little bit of a technology issue here. Go short Microsoft, right? Because of Skype and their purchase. Today's topic is something that was a result of a listener question, was talking about how they were in a losing streak and what do you do to deal with that. And it was interesting because Sam and I, before the show, talked a little bit and said, what do you want to talk about today? And he goes, you know, I've been had a rough week. Let's talk about it. And I go, you know what? That's awesome because most people just talk about how much money they're making. And especially if you go to that other guy out of Chicago, all he does is ever say, I make money, 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 I make money. Let me show you trades that I called out and I made a bunch of money on it. But if you read through any FTC lawsuit, you'll see it actually didn't make any money. It says in there he lost. But besides the point, let's talk about people's mechanisms to deal with down days or losing streaks, which is dealing with trading losses. And here I've got none other than the great Mr. Sam Evans joining us today. Sam, good to have you with us.
Hey, thank you. Great to be here. The great Sam Evans. Oh my gosh, is that because I've not been here for a while? So
it's been almost 2 months now.
Has it really? That's criminal because you know I love coming on the show, my friend. I absolutely love being here. Thanks for having me. It was long overdue, and you know what, mate? I don't feel so great after this last couple of days, but you know what it's like. We jump on the phone, don't we? And we're like, what should we talk about? And it's always fun, but to talk about subjects and all of the stuff that can help people. But I think what can also help people is hearing the crap that goes on and the reality. And that's something that I pride myself on in my company is we're not going to sugarcoat it. You can't polish a turd sometimes, right? As they say. So, that's the way it is.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, it's different because with your business, you're on the sales side, right? You're trying to get students to come in your organization. I get that. And most people feel like the way that you do that is by always talking about how great you're doing, how much money you're making. And my personal take on this over the years has always been that making money is a byproduct of not losing it. So what's noteworthy, what's conversational, what should be talked about is not, I made X on this trade or I made Y on that trade. It's how much I lost on this trade, because now if I share that with you, we can now converse. I can now get feedback from you and hopefully grow and learn from that bad trade so I don't make those stupid mistakes again. So walk me through this week. You're on the couch with Dr. Rothfeld. What's been troubling you this week, Sam? Why have you been struggling?
Well, it's funny. Before I can even talk about this week, this feels lovely, man. This is like cathartic heaven. This is beautiful. So thank you. Actually, I'm being really selfish. This is just for me, everybody, so I can get it out of my system, right? Talking to Dr. Rothfeld. But, it's funny. I've been on an absolute tear, this last 3 weeks or so. Just on a roll, high success rate, probably about 80% success rate. And I'm a day trader, Merlin. I do a lot of day trading. I day trade the Dow Jones every day. I'm doing less forex. I look at my forex as more investing, position trading, and I do a lot of options. It's like swing trading, weekly stuff, right? So long story short, I'm trading the Dow every day, and I've been posting a lot of videos of what I've been doing and everything. And then, it's scary. I was going over my statistics as I do, and I'm like, wow, I'm like an 81% success rate over the last few weeks. I'm like, wow. Crap.
That's great.
This is going to end. Right?
Yes.
That's how my head goes now, right? I got uncomfortable about that. And I'm talking to my buddy and I was like, how's it going? I'm going, yeah. I said, I feel like I've got a bit of a crappy streak coming. And they're like, why? I said, well, this is a game of probabilities, right? And I have been nailing it, right? And I was just like, I just feel it's coming. Now, it's funny, like Monday morning, I got up, I didn't feel 100%. And so I ended, everything was good. It started this week. I got up Monday morning. My level came, it hit, I had a nice little drop, and I was just like, right, I hit the buy button, and I'm in that trade, and I'm doubting myself, and I'm sitting there talking to myself, and I'm like, well, that's not cool. What's going on? And then I ended up just like pulling the trade and saying, like, I'm going to flatten it, and then it ended up doing what I expected it to do, and then it's like, well, that's crazy, and that was like the first day, so I was like, walk away, and then like Tuesday, I got an idea in my head, right? And I'm like, this thing's going to go down. I'm going to see it going down. And I was just shorting the hell out of it. But I was shorting the hell out of it maybe a little bit aggressively. And I think it was almost like me having a bit of a point of, I know what I'm doing and I wobbled yesterday, so I'm going to be confident Sam today. And it was interesting. I took a few hits on it. 3 hits in a row, and then I got my 4th setup and I made it all back and I broke even, right? Mm-hmm. And then today I just went into it and I started my GTS session with my students. I was doing a live trading session this morning, and it was an odd one today. I was like, hey, if we break out of this overnight level, this is a great time to get long. And everyone's like, great. And they took it, and I said, but you know what? I want to focus on you guys in the room, and I'm going to take this trade up here. and then I'd be like went off on something else completely. And it was interesting because my students made money today, right? and I kind of like, so I'm going to go and do this idea. And I decided, and that just went to crap. And I hit my daily loss limit today, and I actually have a loss limit, and I have a thing on my account where it will lock me down for not trading for the rest of the day.
Nice.
And so, after commissions and all that, I'm probably down like a couple of grand, like 2,500 this week, and, it's nothing crazy, because I trade like a decent enough size. But it's a little bit of a, and it's put the brakes on for me because I'm reassessing and I'm waking up to it. And I actually have a weekly loss limit that I try to enforce as well. And it's like tomorrow I'm going to see how it goes. But, I'm also kind of thinking maybe I just need to take this out of the way. Because Merlin, all you're hearing here is I got in my own head for some reason this morning because I was on a good streak.
Yep.
And I was thinking, when's the bad stuff coming? Which is kind of opposite to what a lot of people do. They're like, this is never going to end.
Right.
That's kind of what's happened, really. Have you found anything like that over the years yourself? Because I'm sure.
Absolutely. I'm a little surprised though because you mentioned. Let me see if I can get your story down because you were saying that you kind of had you called it a wobble on Monday.
Yeah.
You lost a little bit and then you came back at it Tuesday, and you said you had a few losing trades and then one trade brought it back up.
Yeah.
And you almost I think you said that you were actually getting a little bit more aggressive. So I mean. To me, as a coach for that one, I'd be like, man, you kind of you let go of some discipline right there because
I did. Oh, completely.
You're trading to you almost for revenge trading, which you got lucky on that last trade yesterday because it brought you back out of it. But if you're trading bigger and you've already got that mindset, I got to make it up. I mean, that's usually for me when the biggest losses happen.
100%, and it's. It's back to the reality of it. It was a completely disciplined thing. I was undisciplined, I can say to you now every day, 98% of the time, it's pretty dull what I do because it's just so rules-based. I mean, it's so rules-based and like I'm a robot. Yet Monday had that wobble and it could be something else going on in your world. You don't know what it can be. Let's not overanalyze it. And then, coming back, trying to make up for the wobble the next day. So complete lack of discipline. I guess the difference is that it doesn't do me any damage now. Like it's a pain in the butt. Like it's like getting a slap around the face. You're on the date and you go a little bit too far and you get a slap for it, right?
That doesn't happen to me, but okay.
No, not anymore. But you just push your luck, and so nothing disastrous. And I want to make that really clear. It's something that I'm just more kind of a bit frustrated with myself because it's like, hey man, just kind of made the amateur mistake. Mm-hmm. But then I can look back on the last 3 weeks and have I given it all back? Gosh, no. It's almost like, you know what? Because I'm in a habit now. Take money out. So like I get paid. I pay myself.
It's so it's like in Vegas, you were tipping the dealer, right? You're on a good streak and he gave a little bit back as courtesy.
Yeah, and it does, and that's all it is. So like, and the great thing about it is, look, let's look on the opposite side. No damage has been done. It's like I'm still up nicely. It's all good. It's fine. But it's just like this week, and I'm kind of in that point where I'm going to sleep on it tonight, and I'm actually kind of like don't even want to do anything tomorrow. And again, I wrestle with that because I also know that every day you've got to treat individually. And I say this to people as well. Like I'm even getting myself out of that head now. Like maybe I'll take a break. But I've also done statistics and found that sometimes that can be good in the early part of your career, but sometimes it can be worse because if you recognize what the problem is and just get back on the saddle and do what you need to do, as long as I'm taking honest setups tomorrow, I could have a great day tomorrow. You just don't know. You don't know. So you have to kind of live in that know-nothing environment, but be accountable. Yeah, but I was this week, I slipped a little bit. I'm only human. And I'm not going to apologize for it to myself because it just proves that, I'm not a robot. And I'm not going to be a robot. So,
And good for you. It happens to me all the time where, fine, I'll have a couple days in a row of losing streak. And I do something particular. I'm curious to see if you do this as well. Mm-hmm. Do you... So you lost on Monday. Did you lose on Tuesday?
I lost on Monday. I'm like, literally, I was down about $100 at the end of it. I mean, it wasn't terrible, right? I was just...
We'll call that a break even. So I'll call Monday a break even. Was Tuesday? So Tuesday and Wednesday were down.
Yeah, Tuesday was down. I recovered like about 80% of my losses. And again, small. And then today was the bad day. So
So for me, that's 3 losing days in a row. Technically. So what I do is if I have 3 losing days in a row, it's in my plan. I have to take 2 days off from day trading. If this isn't a day trading type thing, and only reason I did that is because years ago, it would turn into, those 3 losing days would turn into like 8 losing days because, as you mentioned at the beginning of this, I got in my head. And all of a sudden, I'd almost lose before I got to the market open and started trading. It was like,
oh, true.
So I figured for me, it just made sense. If I feel that streak is starting, just take 2 days off. The worst thing that's going to happen to me is I miss out on some great opportunities, but who cares? There's always opportunities. Do you do anything like that as far as a limit break for you where you say enough is enough, I'm going to take some time off?
Well, like I said, I've actually worked it on my account, so I have like an automatic cut-off, so I can't trade anymore. Like literally, if I hit that loss, it's like it takes me out, so it forces me for the day. And then I have like a weekly loss limit attached to it as well. So if that gets hit, then I'm done for the week. So it does force me to take the time off. The reason I have that is it makes me think about the setups. You know, it does, and it makes me step back a little bit. And you might say, well, today, you know, maybe you haven't. I actually think that the setups today were, I would actually say of the, you know, the setups I took, you know, the vast majority, they were valid setups, perfectly fine setups. Mm-hmm. I just think that, you know, probably towards the end, I was just a bit like peed off and like, oh, come on, man, you know, everyone. And that's it. But sometimes, yeah, you know what, I will say this, and again, I'm ebbing on the thing. I'm going to just wake up, unless I see something really nicely extended tomorrow and I see the opportunity on the bigger charts, I'm probably going to walk away from it tomorrow as well. And you know what I will do? I will trade tomorrow, but I'll focus on my options trading, right? So, you know, I'm a little bit bullish on Netflix right now after earnings, you know, and it's come down into some nice lows on the weekly charts. So I'm crafting a few options plays on that. So that's what I'll do. Is I'll say, hey, let's take a break from the day trading. The next couple of days, you know, just spend some time, a few hours, like just really going through all my equities and looking at my options, because I'm getting big into options and I love it. So I'm like, I'll make use of the time, right? And sure, Merlin, you know what's going to happen. It's going to be sod's law. There'll be some easy setups tomorrow. But also, I've been doing this long enough to know that, so what? Because the game I play as a trader, and if anyone's been looking at my YouTube videos, I'm an opportunist. I get in, I get my money, I get out, you know? Even sometimes, you know, if I'm having a few losses, I'll get into the next trade, and as soon as I get those back, I'd rather go home break even than losing for the day. I have my own style, and I think it's important. It's just that, you know, I probably wobbled a little bit this week. So I'm going to see how I feel tomorrow. Again, I want to stress to anybody, this might not be what you want to hear. Tough.
No.
This is the reality of it. It ain't that freaking glamorous.
Yeah, know? No, I don't think you need to apologize to anybody. It's commendable to do that. You know, you and I have taught physical classes for many, many years. And, you know, one of the things that always drove me nuts is someone would invariably in class always jump up in the middle of class and be like, I'm up $3,000 today. I was like, sit down, shut up. You know,
you're gonna be down $6,000 tomorrow if you're not careful.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's like, and you guys always, I feel like I'm very condescending when I say this, but it's like, if you're absolutely destroying it and killing it and making tons of money, shut up about it, because I think the market will hear you and slap you around a little bit. More importantly is what Sam's doing, is saying, look, I'm having a bit of a losing streak. I'd love to talk about it, because for me, it's a lesson, and I'm going to build off that. I'm going to get better. What I like about it is you have limits down. Brennan, who's in chat here, he says, at my scale, I don't like risking more than $500 per trade. Great. So you've got a limit, and everybody needs to have what their limit is. You know, for one person could be 500, another person could be 10 grand per trade. Doesn't matter. Find a number that you're comfortable with and make sure that number doesn't destroy your trading physical monetary account or your psychology.
It's you know what? I stress this to people from my own experience as well. You know, that one bad day, right, can lead so easily to a second bad day the day after, and a third. And if you really stop that truly bad day from happening, you're going to get on leaps and bounds. You know, and that's it. Let's put it in perspective. Literally, like, you know, it ain't that bad. Like, literally hitting my loss limit, so what? It's nothing. I think it's just the previous 2 days as well, just being, you know, around the break-even point, and I've not had a good winning trade for a few days. You know, it's more of that than anything else. So let's call it ego. Let's call it like, I've had my ego done. But then I also know the whole reason a good strategy works, and I know my strategy works. I've been doing it long enough. The good reason a good strategy works, Merlin, is because it doesn't work all the time. Right. That's what people don't get. Because if it worked all the time, everybody would do it, and there'd be no market anymore. You know, that's the catch-22, right? So you got to do what you got to do. Got to find something else to do with my time. Although running a company, I've got plenty to do.
You got plenty to do. Yeah, Brendan just posted a good one. This is, he says, Greg Manarino said this, but this is a very common industry slogan. He says, bulls make money, bears make money, pigs get slaughtered, don't be a pig. Totally right. 100% agree with that one as well. And for all of you, when you have a losing streak, I don't know what your circle or community is of people around you. it's important to share your losses with them. So if you got a group of friends that are traders and you're losing some money in a trade, you're on a losing streak, stop and just sit down with those guys and go like, hey man, here's what I've been doing, and see what they tell you. If they're good friends, they're going to be honest with you and be like, man, what the hell were you thinking? Why did you double down in that position? Or where was your stop loss on that one, man? Come on, it'll slap you around a little bit. If you don't have a group, find a community to involve yourself with. You guys can always talk about it in here if you want, and I will give you some honest feedback as well. But to me, critical to address those losses and move on from them. Now, tomorrow, you take it as a brand new day. Was there a specific one that you lost on? Was it the YM down?
Yeah, just trading. Because when I day trade, I focus on one thing. Focus on just one thing. And I think today just was a little bit like I took some. It's really interesting today as well because I faltered on one of the things on my plan as well. One of my plans, and again, it's back to that thing of don't question it and play the odds. The Dow broke out quite heavily out of its overnight session, which to me can be a very bullish sign. It's one of the trap and break, one of the strategies we teach, okay? And missed the entry on that because we were teaching. Thankfully, some of our students got it this morning, which was really good and good. And then it was like, hey, I was looking for a pullback actually to carry on going on because I'm still very bullish on the market. I don't get me wrong, I'm bullish. And I was waiting for that pullback. And when you just get in your head and you're like, but you know what, buying it now, it's just already had the move and it feels like it's. Sometimes knowing about short selling is the worst thing for an equities trader, because but it annoys me because then everybody who just buys and holds, they're like, oh yeah, that's why it doesn't, and then until it doesn't go up and they get destroyed. So you need to know about it. But yeah, it was a little bit of a wobble. My opinion got in there a little bit today. So, and again, that's fine. Again, I say to people, that's fine. Sometimes you're going to have an opinion and your opinion might be right or wrong. And, I had a valid setup. It was just in the wrong direction. And I probably didn't trust the trend a little bit. So it happened on that. Looking back on it, though, I journal everything, and I'm like, yeah, I can see where I went wrong. That's the thing. I can see where I went wrong. And it's, again, I stress it to everybody that the only thing that's different 15 or no, actually more like 17 years later after doing this all this time is when I have a streak like this, it doesn't cost me a lot anymore. It just costs me a little bit of pride, and it makes me just get annoyed with myself because back in the day, I'd blow a whole month's money or more in one day, years ago.
Yeah, and I think that's a common problem. We've addressed that before where you could have a streak where you have 50 winning trades in a row, man. Make it 100 winning trades. Doesn't matter to me. And then all of a sudden you have one bad trade and it erases all those losses. And it's simply because of what you just addressed, which is, you stopped it. You said, here's my limit. I didn't want to lose it, but I lost it. Fine, move on. I've done it before, too, where I've had weeks' worth of gains evaporate in one or two trades, and you're just going, how the hell can I be so stupid, and do this stuff? But it's just it's our own personal psychology that plays tricks on us and makes us do these things. Let me see. There's a good question coming from Alan. Alan says, how do you recognize when you should do nothing and make yourself do nothing?
No, that's a great question, and that should always be based on your analysis, basically, and your trading plan. So I have a system that I created, okay, and I have a tool that I created called location analysis. So I set kind of like what I call a playing field, and basically, I like to get price when it's kind of overstretched as much as I can. So for me, and again, you've got to practice learning how to draw it, but I always look at it like this. It's kind of, if the rubber band isn't stretched, then there's if the rubber band's kind of flaccid and loose, it's going to stay where it is. But when you stretch a rubber band to its extremity and let it go, it's going to snap back a whole lot harder. So one of the ways I'll do that is if I just see what I call the flaccid, the rubber band, or I just see the market kind of somewhere in an equilibrium point, according to my location analysis, then I'm not going to do anything. Because to me, it's like a fair value, if that makes sense. And then when I've got, and so I just go off of now, obviously, sometimes I could be drawing my extremes and that could be wrong and the market can change. But it works well enough for me over the years and how it goes. So that's when I'll know, basically. That's when I'll know. And what was a little bit challenging about today was markets can be in a real fair range pattern for a long time and then take off up or take off down. They don't always have to be at extremes to get good movements. You can consolidate and go. That's what happened a little bit today. So, unfortunately, it consolidated, it burst out and everything. And, the signals were just not as great. But again, nothing is perfect. But that's generally to answer the question how I'll do it. I'll do it based on the price and the ranges that I'm seeing at that particular time.
For me, Alan, how do you know? You just I mean, it's hard. I don't know how you explain it. You obviously know if you're on a losing streak, right? You know, because you can check each trade, you know, your P&L keeps dropping and dropping. You'll know that's the first indicator. And at a certain point, I mean, you literally, I'm hopefully I don't go off camera here. You know, when you're in that, and let's say you've lost 3 or 4 in a row, you just got to go, all right, I'm out. And literally walk off set. Get away from that computer, move on, and leave it alone, because for whatever reason, and of course we could probably get Dr. Woody Johnson on here to help explain it, or get some psychologists, because when you start going on a losing streak, 1 trade, no big deal. 2 trades, your brain instantly starts thinking that you're losing. It's a psychological fact. And all of a sudden you go to your 3rd loss, and you're like, uh-oh, man, I must be doing something wrong. I'm screwed up. And then all of a sudden it will precipitate into another loss, another loss, another loss. And if you don't stop that, your brain will go down that rabbit hole, and it becomes what I call the downward spiral, and it just gets worse and worse and worse till eventually you blow your account, or you did something to change it. So for me, as soon as you feel that emotion, that shit, I'm stupid, I can't get this, I'm losing, go away. Go golf, go to the beach, go make snow angels outside. Who cares? Stop trading, get your mind away from it. And then what Sam said is probably the most important piece is he says he journals his trades. So go back and review, what did you do that may have caused those to be losers? Did you do something different that you normally do not do? To me, that's critical. And you'll find if you do the journal that most of the time when you have a really bad losing day, you can real quickly look at it and go, yep, I violated this rule, and this rule. Done. You know, you'll know right away. So don't make those mistakes.
You'll see it. And you be honest with yourself. That's the thing. You can know, and another little tip I'll give somebody is, it's interesting. If you're really following, if you're being honest in your day-to-day practice and actually really sticking to a plan and a real systematic approach in what you do, it shouldn't really be that hard, because you're playing probabilities. That's all you're doing. And I always say this, successful trading and investing is just about playing probabilities. It's not like some inherent gut feeling we have. They'll get you in trouble. It's they're developing a skill of discipline. That's really what it is to me. Mm-hmm. It's developing a skill of discipline, and discipline is patience and all of those other things wrapped into it. So, you'll know, and you'll see if there's a setup or not. And if you can look back and you're journaling the right way, you'll say, well, I didn't follow that plan that I had. And then it's only, if you're journaling it the right way, and again, if you're honest with yourself and you start to see that it's not working anymore, then fine, it's time. You need probably a new plan, or you might not need a new plan. You might need to just adapt it in that respect. But it always just comes down to being honest with yourself. And too many people aren't honest with themselves. The market doesn't care who we are. Yeah. Simple as that. It's not out to get us, right?
That doesn't care at all. Alan says getting away from the screen for a while is the best way to recover from a stupid decision. And journaling, yeah. And here's an analogy I'll give you. If you look at, I used to play baseball when I was younger, and obviously your goal is to hit 300 plus, so you can fail 60% of the time and still make it to the Hall of Fame in baseball. If you go on a streak where you go for 0 for 30, right? You haven't hit the ball on 30 plate attempts. You should bench yourself, right? But you don't, because you don't make that call. Your coach does. At a certain point, your coach will bench you and say, you're just going to sit out this round. You're going to sit out this game, right? And you're like, but I want to play. No, so I need to break that cycle in you. Whatever it is that's causing you to just not see the ball right like you used to, you're not seeing it right. I'm going to bench you for a game. And then all of a sudden, it's funny. You find when you put yourself back, or when they put you back in the game, you'll probably hit the first pitch. You're going to get a base hit, double, triple, home run, whatever. But it's just breaking that cycle of whatever psychological thing is going on in your head. You have to break that. And yes, journaling becomes a piece of it, as Algebra says. But you could follow the rules and still have a huge losing streak. I would say no to that. You could have a huge losing streak in the number of losses that you take, meaning I could lose 20 trades in a row, but I'm not going to have a huge monetary losing streak because I have a downside stop loss in place.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, all that this is, meant for me is just like, and we're in the 3rd week of the month. Mm-hmm. So my losing streak, I'm still up quite nicely for the month. So it's not like, and I also try to make sure, I say anyone day trading, and my partner Dan says it, you got to pay yourself. Get in a habit of taking money out every week or two, and then you'll have a different attitude about what's left in your account. Because if you are on a winning streak and your balance is growing, you got to treat that as now your money, because I hate when people go, I'm playing with the house's money. Well, if you take that attitude, you're going to give it back to the house. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's your money now. So, and you have to. Like another little tip for you is, what you could do, which I know some of my students have done and colleagues have done, is say, hey, you know what? And it depends on what size. Like, I'm going to get back on the handle, but I'm going to just cut my size down. You know, like maybe I was trading 4 contracts. I'm going to just trade 1. You know, and I'm just going to go real small, you know, and have even stricter risk management just to dip my toe back in the water, just to get used to it. Like, you know, it's just like, you know, you just rehab, isn't it? You know, you want to warm up again. So there's a lot of different things you can do. But as long as you accept there's opportunity every single day. It's very rare that the market doesn't give you opportunity, right? So live to fight another day. That's all it really is.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm actually drawing something right now. So I was... let me see if I can do some animations for you guys here to help explain this topic. I'll make that white on the left. Okay, so in order to help explain this a little bit further, I'm going to share this screen over here. Let me see if I can get this one to go for you guys. All right. Well, unfortunately, the animation is not going to work, so we'll just leave it at that, but I will share the screen with you right. The beauty of trying to do this live, guys. Here you go. It is done. Okay, so I drew this just to kind of make the illustrative point about what Sam was talking about. And this, every one of your charts should look like this, except for the left-hand side of your screen. I was actually trying to hide it, but you notice that in this, what I've done, Sam, is all I literally drew is just a crude chart where it's an uptrend. And we all talk about you want to join an uptrend when you're trading a stock. Well, you want your account to look like this too. You want it to be making higher highs. But while that's incredibly important, you notice that none of these pullbacks back down exceed a previous low, meaning you're always kind of pushing your balance higher and higher and higher. What you don't want to have happen is what's happening right here. This is bad, B-A-D, right? And that's basically what's happening is I'm having small little winners, and the losses are bigger and making new lows. That's your account being drained out. You can't have that happen. So you could go on a losing streak where your chart might look like, you know, small, little, tiny guys, but you should never have this big downfall like that. That's the kiss of death for pretty much any trader out there. And what happens in this big sell-off period here on the left or right-hand side is that's psychology. That's, you know, doubling down your bets. That's revenge trading. That's not having a stop loss, and that ultimately kills people financially. So just wanted to give a visual to help support the conversation today.
It really does. And I think that also another thing to think about as well is also if you're taking small losses, that's great. But you've also got to remember that you can also get death by 1,000 cuts.
Yep.
So it doesn't also mean that you just still pick your spots. I was talking about pick your spots, and if you're being honest with yourself, you'll pick those spots accordingly. So because then I've seen people Merlin say, "Oh, I'm going to use a 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio." I'm like, well, that's great, but you've got to take trades that offer you at least 3 times what you're risking, and they're buying and selling in crazy places where there's no real risk to reward ratio anyway. So it's a few moving parts to it, right?
Yeah.
If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Absolutely. So algebra, to follow up that question, yeah, you can stop with the monetary. You can put a limit there, and the streak, meaning you let's say have 10 losing trades in a row, is that's the one that's challenging for you. Great, and this is where journaling is critical, because in theory, trading is a 50-50 chance. I mean, if you just break it down to a coin flip, I can pick any stock right now and give me a ticker symbol, say Tesla, flip a coin, heads I'm going long, tails I'm going short, right? You could do that. Of course, if the trend is up, I'm going to be a little more biased to going long, so maybe my share size will be bigger. Therefore, you got a 50-50 chance. So if you took 10 trades and you've lost 10 or even 8 of those trades, you're doing everything the opposite of what you should be doing. So the only way you find that out is if you go back and review it. So journal. Find out why it is that you're losing that many trades in a row. Normally when that happens, it's because people have stop losses way too tight. Right? It's because they're way too tight. And I know part of the OTA family here, this is a problem that it's the instructor's job to convey this, because when you take classes at OTA, you used to trade with live money in the Pro Trader class. Well, you traded 10 shares. So we had a 7-cent stop. And a lot of people took home, did you have to have a 7-cent stop all the time? No. Absolutely not. No. Every stock is different, so you need to know what those stop losses are for you.
Google.
yeah. It's the spread, man. You bought it and you're already out. So yeah, it's review. It's the boring work, It's the stuff that most people don't want to do, but that is the critical piece to it. And obviously having a community around you helps much more with the review process. All right, Sam, what else you got? Losing professionally, I think, would be the topic, or dealing with losses, and I'm very happy that you shared that with us today. It's nice to get that perspective on it. What else? What is it market-wise? Anything exciting you want to talk about that maybe I can draw on charts for you?
I'm liking. I've been looking at a few things on here. I tell you one thing. Looking back on it, last time I was on this show, by the way, I know we now. I just wanted to get your opinion if you thought it had long to go. But I remember last time on the show with you, and I've got my own charts up as well here, so I can be looking at things too. But so bearish on Zoom.
Yeah.
Well, look at how that thing is, the backside's fallen out of that. I mean, holy heck, even like a slightly better earnings didn't even help it, did it, back in February and stuff. Right now, I still got to say, we're coming right up to that point again of $300 on Zoom. I look at this chart, and I've been like the last one I was looking at on Zoom on the weekly chart, which I had was on Take Stock Live on my own show. I was looking at a short 436, still bearish on it from 436. That was the area, the last short that we placed out on that. I don't know about what you think about this thing, but if this thing doesn't start to rally around on the weekly charts, the 298, 299 area, I reckon we're on 250 on this thing. I really, really do. I'm always looking for opportunities to short Zoom at the moment.
I can see that.
Not every stock goes in line with the stock market, right? Just because there's this thing of, if the stock market's going up, everything's going to go up. Not quite.
Not quite.
Not quite.
As far as Zoom goes, I'm with you on the bearish side. Although I will say that I think when you were on and previously, even on your show, I was right there with you. Heavy bearish on Zoom. I'm still bearish on Zoom as a company. From a price perspective, I'm a little cautious right now, and I'll draw a little box around the most recent area you guys can see. For the past, this is a weekly time frame, so for the past six weeks or so, it's really been stuck in a little bit of a range. So, maybe you're doing some spread trades on this one. I would probably be a little, oops, I just took it out of that range, and it just destroyed everything.
What's the range on that?
Well, that was weird. I went from
350, so you got about $50 range on.
Yeah, gotta love TradeStation. I had this box drawn, and all of a sudden it just completely shifted and looked all weird. But yeah, that makes me feel like it's actually reached a base. It's kind of traversing sideways. It's looking a little bit better. I'm not bullish, but I think my overt bearishness might be called a little bit here. Now, if we do get below those levels you're talking about, which is going to be the low from the 30th of March, that low price being 302. If you break 300, I think you got some pretty quick drops here. The real target for me would be right around 234 on it, but
and I like it there. I like it there. Around that 230, 250, I'd be like, I wouldn't go for the stock. I'd be sniffing for some calls on that, for some longer term plays on that. And I like it there. I just think it's got a bit more downside on it still. I really do. But
it might, But again, this is as an options guy. You could be selling puts there. I'm pretty sure the premium's probably fairly decent on Zoom. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And another one in the range at the moment is Netflix. I was saying, like today, we saw earnings come out today. Actually, 375 wasn't it? The earnings on that came out.
Yep.
But then saying that they've been dropping subscribers. An interesting one. I've been really impressed. I mean, let's just talking at it from a fundamental perspective more of anything, and a social fundamental perspective. I like the programming they've been putting out. Like, I was concerned that when Disney launched, everybody's got their own streaming service, Netflix would really kind of suffer. But and I'm talking purely from a content point of view as a viewer. But I think they've really stepped up their game. I still have their balance sheet still a little bit to kind of gives me a little bit of a quiver. But I think, at the moment, again, another market. I mean, that has been in a choppy range now. Let's just look at it. I'm looking on the weekly chart, Merlin. Extremes of that range. What was the all-time high on that? Our high time at 593.29.
Yep.
And you've had lows at around 460. But for me, it's been in this range between like 500 and call it 570 for a while. After seeing that gap down, especially with earnings today, I have to be bullish on it, at least for the next, maybe week or two. So kind of a short-term swing I'm looking at on that right now on Netflix.
Yeah, the only challenge is, and I see your point there, if you're at 508.90 right now on Netflix, you got that, that 460 mark is certainly a ways down. Another $40 away is going to give yourself, 8% or so. I'd be a little cautious about that continuing down, but it's just been stuck in this big range. I'm not very bullish on Netflix myself, just because I think you have so much increased competition, and a lot of people now are actually getting lives back and not just sitting at home and watching TV all the time. I pretty much watched everything that's on Netflix anyway.
There you go. I've got a 3.5-year-old, so I haven't. So maybe that gives you a different perspective.
You've got Disney Plus, huh?
Yeah, and for me, and it's a great service, I gotta say. Just finished up Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but don't give me any spoilers if you've been watching it, because I'm only 3 episodes in.
No,
but
is it good?
I gotta just say,
is it good?
Very good. Very good.
I'll check it out.
Oh my God, I love one. As you can see, look around my office, right? Yeah. You can see what world I live in. Okay, this is not my kids' room. This is mine. Right?
So the Easter bunny in the basket is yours too?
Yeah, you saw the Easter bunny in the basket. Yeah, that's hidden. Apparently, Easter bunny's taking it away again now. So everything that we have to take away gets hidden in my room now. It's quite interesting. It's become the storage cupboard and my cave, so it's all good. But yeah, no, I gotta say, a great programming. I mean, Disney, I remain very bullish on Disney. It's interesting to see how they are. We should look at them actually. You know, with obviously the pandemic lifting now, the parks opening up. I've been bullish on the airlines. I tell you this as well. And I just say before, let me wrap this up. On Netflix, I'm looking at a short-term move on this. At best, I'm looking at 550. I just am looking for this play off of the $500 mark, see if I could squeeze a few dollars out of that, get that gap closure, and I'm moving the heck on. What am I moving on to? A couple of things we should look at here. I like Disney, I gotta say. Again, Disney, I think it has been a little overbought, obviously, with everything that's going on. But, this area on the monthly chart where we rallied, we put in a high back in, December, highs of around 180. Then we consolidated, we put a new high in. This whole region, this first area, this 175 kind of 180 area, that for me is a benchmark on Disney at the moment, okay? Around 170-ish is a benchmark on that. If that doesn't hold up, I'd still be bullish even down to around 150 on it by trying to ride it to the downside, but I can't write them off at the moment. I'd be interested to see how they play out, I know they've been suffering, but considering they've been suffering with the parks, they've held up pretty well. That's what, from a price.
Yeah, I was surprised to see such a cash cow for them get shut down. It'd be interesting to see what happens when those numbers finally do move on.
They're up in Florida. I went there. I've been to Florida. I was there in October. And it felt like it was at peak season because obviously the restrictions that they'd made there. And so even though they only had 25% capacity, it felt like 125% because everything was, they created so much space in there. So the lines were really long. But, to see that, I know Disney Plus has helped them a lot. But to see them holding up like that without the California parks being open again, I think it bodes well for them. So, again, I'd like it a little bit cheaper. I really would like it a little bit cheaper on here. But if I was to put a number out, 150 for me, I'd take a punt at that at 150. And again, I know we're about $33 off of that, Merlin, but that I like. I do like that.
Alan says they're losing like $50 million a day every day the parks are closed. Yeah, they might be, but I'm wondering what they're getting from PPP money because they got to be getting tens of millions of dollars to hundreds of millions out there.
And that's what I'm saying. If they're losing that kind of money, and this is the thing, let me make this really clear. We've talked about this. Just because we're talking fundamentals doesn't mean the market gives a damn about those fundamentals.
True, very true.
If they're losing if they're losing that kind of money off those parks, yet that share price has been holding that well, that means to me if we do get a bit of positive news and we do get a bit of an influx in those parks, to me that could help it a lot as well. But again, this is the way you've got to look at it. Inherently, guys, go look at charts. When you look at an equity market, markets go up in the long run. So I take the thing of being, if I get a good opportunity to buy a good company, and to me, Disney is still a good company at a decent price, I'll buy it. I'll just take a stop loss. I'm not going to just let it go all the way down, protect myself. I don't have the Motley Fool world of just buy stuff and hold it forever and it'll be fine. No. Markets do go up. I'm not going to lie about that. I'm not going to dispute that. The point is, I'll just buy at the best price, but I will use stop losses, because you have to be sensible. You never know when another 2008 is around the corner. So, that's how I'd say. But, we've also been looking at JETS. JET is the ETF Series Solutions USGLB. It's JET, the ETF on it. A little bit overbought, I would say, on this right now, but the trend is strong on that. On JETS, it's like basically the JETS airline ETF on that.
It's funny, Sam. On the daily, someone actually asked me this the other day. Said, "Do you see the head and shoulders?" And I was like, "Yes, I do see the head and shoulders pattern there." But I would put more emphasis. This is a really tricky one because I am bullish on the airlines. I wanted to
bring this up with you. I really wanted to get your opinion on it too, because we don't talk enough about stocks and ETFs when I'm on the show with you. So tell me that head and shoulders. I see it. And that net line would only take it down to about $21, $22. And I'd be like, yeah, great. Because I tell you that right now, you look at that monthly chart, if that is a head and shoulders, I'm not saying buy it now. God, no, I don't want to buy it now. But I look at that on the monthly chart and 22.50 with that kind of basing that you see on there, I'd take a shot at that. That's a cheap stock, for me. Yeah. I looked at the options volume on that and the open interest is huge on that thing, Merlin. Yeah. So then you got the choice. Do you want to buy it, own it, the cash, then have the have the stock, and then you can obviously write some options against it and get the dividend, or you leverage it a little bit and you buy the options, you take the leaps on it. One or two ways to play it. But if that thing come down to about 22.50, I'm sniffing around that area, I got to say.
I agree. I think so too. I think I'd be in this situation. I'd be looking more at selling cash secured puts right now just to collect some premium because I'm not comfortable buying it. You're starting to see some lower lows be put in, and it's got lower highs. So, for those that I forgot the person who asked about this one being the head and shoulders, but it is, and it could potentially go down to the $20, $21 mark. If it does, I'll probably be a buyer at those points as well, just because I do think the airlines are going to bounce back from this pretty good, especially with all the bailouts they've been getting. So right now I'm not a buyer of jets, but I would be at 20.
Let's face it, air travel ain't going anywhere.
No, it's not like we're going to, we can't travel anymore. Just got up.
It's like, what was it, a year ago? Can you believe this time a year ago, oil was zero?
Yeah.
Right? Oil was zero.
Negative 40 is what oil was.
Right? It was pennies on the dollar. It was negative. People were like, oh, and I'm like, just go buy oil. Like I had friends and they're like, what? I said, just go buy oil. And they're like, what the hell? And I'm like, and then it was at like a couple of dollars. And I'm like, go buy some barrels for a couple of dollars. And like, yeah, but it's going down. I'm like, seriously, what do you think is going to give you more value? Buying a bag of candy for $2 or buying a barrel of oil for $2 in the long run? I mean, it's just not rocket science, is it? Sometimes you just can't turn away from a bargain.
It's funny when it was on this show. I was just like, guys, and we had Ruben on the program, who was, Ruben can be very loud and boisterous at times, and I was like, look. Anything below 20, I am a buyer of oil. I don't care where it goes. Anything below 20, I'm a buyer because it's cheaper at $20 than it is to produce oil. So it's not going to last very long. Anyway, let's do a quick round here because I got questions about three different things.
Sure.
Boeing, BA. Let's take a peek at the Boeing chart here. We'll do like a speed round for a couple of securities, but I got Boeing as the first one. What do you think?
Big test coming up right now. It's an equilibrium point for me. 250 is a big mark, but I like that it's pulling back a little bit. For me, I need it a little bit lower. I like it around, let's take a sniff here, about 224. 224, pull back to that. Why I see some major support coming in on that weekly chart. 224, but the uptrend's strong. Why would I want to get in the way of that weekly uptrend? I just don't want to. There's wide open space to the left. It's synced quite nicely with the ETF. I like it around 224.
It's funny. I'm looking at this chart and I'm looking at it at 230, thinking it's at a great point right now, but I'm starting to lose a little bit of interest because of what's happened over the past month. And then I hit the weekly chart and I'm going, ooh, I love this pullback. I really like where it's pulling back to, and it's like you can't argue that uptrend since March of last year on the weekly. So yeah, I agree with Sam. I think
look at the monthly chart: higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, all through 2020. It's bounced back hard.
I think just a hair lower if you're going to be cheap, a little bit 225 as well would be a good spot for me. How about the AUD? Aussie dollar.
Oh, the Aussie dollar, huh? You want to go against the USD, yeah?
Well, Fink says between 77.50 and 78.50 on the daily. I've mapped those zones out here for you guys. It's starting to form a head and shoulders pattern as well.
Oh, I mean, look at I gotta say, the currency market I found challenging over this. It's not been moving like it has, but like for a weekly trader, but for longer term, for monthly stuff, it's been great. It's been really, really good. In fact, a lot of our newer students, Merlin, now, we're getting them into forex at the start, because I think they can go small accounts, put their trades on. It's a great market for people to start, and I think for beginners and experienced investors and traders as well. I see it. 0.8 is such a big area. Look at that monthly chart. The amount of resistance, supply, selling pressure, whatever the heck you want to call it, it's all the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Although some people make out it's very different, it's really not. Okay.
Fink, I like this as a potential short opportunity here. I like where you have your stop is 78.50. Yeah, I mean.
I look at it. I tell you what I really like is what is he looking at around the 77?
77.50 to 78.50.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. You've got a beautiful area on that 4-hour chart when you hone in on that as well. So. Yeah, it's trying. I certainly wouldn't really want to be a buyer on this right now. So you just might be patient. You might get a bit more consolidation. But based on the bigger picture, your directional thinking, I do agree with for sure.
All right, last one, and then we'll talk about what you got cooking. The dollar index, the Dixie. This is from Jerry. He wanted, I think it was from Jerry. Jerry, I think earlier on he was asking about the dollar index and the British pound. But we'll stick to one just for time's sake here. Dollar index is to me a little bit more significant globally than the British pound. No offense to my neighbors across the pond. What are your thoughts on the dollar index?
Oh, this thing. I mean, I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't. I live in dollars and pounds. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Look, I look at the dollar index. I just can't. I know crypto. I know we've got it all, but we're still a long way out. There's a lot of things going on. I just look at it, and I look at it going back to 2015, Merlin. That's how I look at a lot of these things. When I look at markets, like things are significant at this, and it's just chop city since 2015. Like we're in like 5 years of chop, and then here we are again. I have to just say, as long as we're holding between 90 and 88, it's going to hold there. I just see it being in a holding pattern between like about 88 and 95 for the foreseeable future. That's all I really see at the moment.
I agree. I think if we get below 88 though, that's when the shit hits the fan.
God,
but
then there's trouble. I mean, but even then, take a look on that monthly chart. Yeah. There's that base around 85. It's not going to likely get through that in a quick, easy way. There's buyers around there. That's what I'm saying. Even if it breaks those lows from February, right? If it breaks those lows from February of was it February of this year? February of this year. Mm-hmm. Even if it breaks those February of last year, excuse me. Even if it breaks those lows of February of last year, if it breaks those 2018 lows, 85 is a buy point on that. I just can't really see it going anywhere right now. So. Not much of a help to me, the dollar index in my analysis. I've been kind of just ignoring it.
All right. Yeah, it's a big one for me just because I think it's a gauge of the globe, but different strokes. Tell me about what you got going on. I know you have all kinds of stuff going on at Stockability.
Yeah, we do. We're busy, and everything's good. Students coming in, everything's real great. We're very happy. And what we're doing is 1 week today, which is Wednesday, April 28th. We're doing a one-day event, and normally do our webinars, a couple of webinars a week and a month, and show all that stuff. But we're doing a whole thing. The whole gang's getting together, and it's all about your trading, enhancing your trading and investing performance. It's completely free, complimentary. A little bit of a showcase. I'll be speaking. Ryan Watkins, Dan Bustamante, Graham Spruce, one of my other instructors on there. We've also got a performance coach on it, Christy, excellent, very, very successful performance coach. Purely on the mental game, a lot of what we've been talking about, offering her advice. We're also going to be got Better Legal joining us about actually people setting up their trading more effectively as a business, and we're just going to be having some fun. We're actually going to give people a sneak peek into our live training sessions as well, our guided trade sessions. Ryan's going to be doing our Wealth Wednesday, so everyone's going to be invited to come in and see that as well. So yeah, a whole day. It's going to be 10 till 4. You can go to the stockability.com website and you can register at the bottom of the page for it, enhancing your trading, investing performance, and come check us out and see what we do. It'll be like a live stream all day.
I'm looking for it. Where was this? So there you go. Is this the complimentary webinar one at the bottom?
Yep. So you should see your trading, investing performance on April 28th. You'll see that at the bottom.
Oh, there. Yes, the first one. Yep. There you go.
There you go. Next one up. Yeah. Go register for it. 10 till 4 that day. So come on. We will take a few breaks, such as half-hour, 40-minute punchy sessions. But come and check us out. See what we do.
Sweet. Okay?
All right. Thank you, man.
Sure, it'll be a good one. I'm sure it'll be good. Always is. You got a good cast there.
We do. Ryan's great. He comes on with his deep voice and does his thing. And then, you've had Dan on the show, and Dan's just kind of Dan.
You've had Dan and Ryan on the show.
Dan, you have, exactly. And Dan comes on. And we've got a real mix of guys. And we're very excited as well. We've got another instructor joining us in a couple of weeks as well, which I'll have to get on the show with me. And we'll do another little double header as well. So
sounds good to me.
Super excited about that as well. So it's growing. Can't complain.
Good. Glad to see things are going good.
Team. Thanks, man. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Well, hey, Sam, thanks so much. I'm going to tell you right now what happens in Winter Soldier. Ready?
Ears in my fingers in my ears. There you go.
No, I'm probably going to have to go watch a couple episodes of it tonight.
Very good. I tell you what, it's 6 episodes. The final episode's coming out this Friday, I believe. So we're 4 episodes in. 6 episodes. There's 5 so far. And each episode's about an hour long. So it's literally like a 6-hour movie. And also, I don't know if you were into the Justice League. I watched recently the Justice League Snyder Cut, the 4-hour version, and I loved it, man. Crying shame that we're not going to get any more of that, because
that's on HBO, right?
It is on HBO Max, and I loved all those movies. I like the darker tone of the DC movies. I'm a big Batman, Superman fan. I love Marvel, all that. But man, Zack Snyder's Justice League, I'm so glad we got to see it, because it's long. Oh my God, it was a great.
I didn't know it came out yet. I'm going to watch it tonight because I love that stuff.
Oh, you will. They'll enjoy it. Very good movie. Go check it out, my friend.
Awesome. All right, Sam. Well, hey, thanks so much for coming on today. I appreciate it. Hopefully we'll get you on before the next month expires. I know you've been busy. Hopefully we'll get you back on here soon.
I promise to come back in May. 100%. I'd love it. Thanks for having me, buddy.
All right, take care, Sam. Yeah, that was Sam Evans of Stockability. Hope you enjoyed having him on the program today. Always gives tons of great information and feedback with regards to the markets. And what I liked today actually the most was the humility in admitting losses, admitting defeat, admitting a losing streak, and sharing with people. Because to me, that's just a fantastic learning lesson. Excuse me. And I've done that many times over the years on Power Trading Radio as well as on this program, where every now and again I'll share the nice winning trades, but I really don't feel like I should be. I feel like I should be sharing the losing trades as a lesson. And hopefully we can learn from those as well. So journal, track your trades. Takeaways for me were making sure that you guys all have a a floor for the day or a week or a month and levels you say, I can't go past this with regards to losses. You never put a ceiling on your gains, right? Sky is the limit. Great. You can make as much as you want. Just don't lose that much money, because otherwise you might find yourself out of the game before you finally actually get it, or the next trade could be the best trade of your life, but you have no money to make it. So check out stockability.com if you want to know more information about that webinar. I mentioned it's going to be coming up here next Wednesday. He's got a webinar. Okay, now we go to and the hope of doing a 30-minute show just gone out the window. Here's what we have for mañana. Oh, I've got one thing I highlighted actually for today, and I wanted you guys to check this one out because some people were talking about negative yields, and Tom, I think you also were asking about negative yields. Take a look at what Germany's got, right? At the very top of your screen there, it says Germany negative 0.12 for their 10-year. That means if you buy the 10-year, you're losing money. And the question that came from Tom was, why would anyone want to buy this? Right? Why would someone buy knowing that when they receive it, they're going to get less back? Right? So you buy a $1,000 bond, you're going to get, $975 back when you finally cash in. It's like, why would you want that? And the only reason that I can think of is that people are so fearful about uncertainty, deflation, market collapse, that they're just putting in there going, you know what? I just want to make sure that my money is there down the line. That's pretty much it. And I'm willing to pay that to know that my money is in a government-backed bond, and I'm guaranteed to get my money back, other than having a systemic failure. So to me, kind of crazy that you could have a negative 25 basis point 10-year, but it was negative. I think a negative 0.57 was its peak drop there. So I just want to highlight that one for today. Otherwise, wasn't a ton of exciting things. You saw the crude oil inventories were a bit higher than expected. They expected it to decrease to 3.7 million barrels shortage, or a decrease of 3.7 million barrels. I actually came out an increase of 0.6. So there you go. That person was off 4.3 million barrels yet again. As far as economic announcements for tomorrow. Now, there are a few things that are going to be noteworthy here. You'll notice right up here at the top, you've got the main refinance rate for the euro. That's supposed to stay the same. Really, most of it's going to be on what the ECB press conference says about the markets going forward. That's going to be at 5:30 a.m. What else do we have for us? Existing home sales, that's important. You got natural gas storage for anybody who's trading that NG. Other than that, retail sales for the British pound. Now, earnings for tomorrow. AT&T, Intel, Snap Incorporated. Oh boy, not Snap again. Blackstone, Valero. That was a bad trade for me last year. I bought some puts on Snap after their earnings and did not work so well. We talked about Southwest Airlines and Love. All right, we were looking at some charts of Jets, which was an ETF that has a basket of different airline companies in it. American Airlines and Southwest report tomorrow. I believe United reported on Monday. Yes, Red Wings. I'm skeptical of government guarantees as well, but that's the theory, right? The risk-free rate is what they would call that. But you never trust a government, right? There's Mike McMahon used to always say this phrase, and I love it. It's one of my favorite ones. I apologize to all the moms out there because you're probably all gonna take offense to this, but it's damn funny. Mike McMahon used to go, you can trust. There's only two people in life that you can trust. You can trust yourself, and you can trust your mother. And do you really trust your mother? Sorry, moms. So basic bottom line is you just trust yourself. So yes, I'm definitely skeptical of governments. Okay, let's see. Today's Wednesday. Tomorrow's Thursday. I have no guest for Thursday. Thursday will be my Friday show. As I mentioned, I'm going to be going back east, going up to Burlington, Vermont. Anybody have connections at Fish or Trey Anastasio's phone number? Just tell them I'm coming to Burlington. Hook me up. I'll buy them dinner or something. Headed to go to a music venue called Nectar's, which was the origins of one of my favorite bands. So heading up to Burlington, Vermont, going to catch a Red Sox game on the East Coast. So I will not be doing shows Friday or Monday, but I will do one tomorrow. That's going to be all questions, and I have a ton of questions. Surprise, surprise, a bunch of them crypto related. One for Karen, I wanted to actually show her how to send money back and forth with Coinbase. She was having some troubles there. So I'm going to answer all kinds of questions tomorrow. If you have some, you can feel free to send those on in at TraderMerlin@gmail.com. That way I can get them all prepped for tomorrow's show. And then that will be my final show for the week, and then we'll be back on Tuesday. So anyway, hope you enjoyed today's show with Sam Evans of stockability.com. You can visit his website at stockability.com to get more information about anything that Sam does. And of course, if you have any feedback, you got it on the screen right there. Send it on in, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care.